any goal you set your mind to. How to create unstoppable momentum with your goals. Let's welcome Cindy. Cindy Karnes.
Thank you. Awesome. I hope we're ready to have some fun.
Yes.
Because goal setting, can be fun. So, how many here, raise a hand, how many here create big, audacious, hairy goals? For their business or like once in a while? Good. Awesome. I'd like you to take a second and reflect. Reflect on those goals that you set in the past and that you crushed them. How did that feel? Amazing, right?
Super awesome.
Then take another reflection on some of those goals that you set in the past that maybe didn't go as expected. Perhaps you thought they were awesome goals, and before long something happened and you didn't do anything with them. How did that feel? Today we're going to talk about creating unstoppable momentum with your goals so that you can have that great feeling as if you're always crushing them. We're going to talk about an introduction to what I call time empowerment, mindset. Pay attention to the words, the language that we use when we're talking about ourselves. We'll talk about an action plan and aligning our time. But before we dig in, a little bit more about myself. You heard a lot in the introduction, and that is I am an ex-corporate gal turned entrepreneur in August of 2020. But in my corporate life, I was a business analyst for IT services, software development for the airlines, and I loved it. I loved what I did. I delivered all the time. My teams were thriving. We were killing it. We were constantly delivering. We were going to, the executive teams were constantly giving us new challenges because we were hitting our goal. I loved my job so much that I sacrificed everything. My health, my time with friends and family, which was my most important goal. Most of you may know a little bit about my story, but it was on a business trip. I was there, I had 3 projects, multi-million-dollar projects. They were crashing and burning. And I was on this business trip to bring everybody back together, to get us back on schedule. It was the last day of the trip. I'm getting ready for work, and I started having some symptoms with my right arm. I wasn't able to pick up a pen. I ignored my symptoms, went to work because I wasn't going to let my IT team still fail, my business teams fail, my executive teams fail. By the end of that work day, I was in a full tremor on my right side. Still ignoring the symptoms, I flew home.
Jesus. Oh, wow.
I get home, I have a seizure. That seizure sends me to the emergency room. And in the emergency room, they say, "Congratulations, you won a one-way ticket to ICU. You're stroking out." I gave it 2 weeks to let the swelling go down back in my brain. This was way before COVID. I could work from anywhere. I just needed a laptop, internet, and phone. And I was back at it. My friends and family were telling me if I was back in the hospital, this was all on me. I knew something had to change. I found some health and wellness products that then I was recovering quite rapidly. It was removing my brain fog. I was gaining some more energy. So I said, entrepreneurship is the way to go. I knew that I had a bigger purpose. I knew that I had skill sets that people are looking for me to bring to the work world, or to the entrepreneurship world. So as you heard in my intro, I tried to manage 7 years with a corporate job, launching my business. It wasn't working. I said I didn't have enough time. I went full entrepreneurship in August of 2020 and realized it had nothing to do with time.
That was a disappointment, right?
Yes. So what is time empowerment? We all have heard this story many, many times. We all have the same amount of time, 168 hours per week. We can't borrow time, we can't roll it over, and we cannot transfer. But there's many people that are successful, that are walking, killing their goals, hitting it every time with the same 168 hours. And then there's some of us that it's like, we like setting those goals, but something's not working. We're not killing them. What could that be? So I had to take a step back and realize it was not about time. It was about my mindset, which we'll get into more, and some structure, lack of structure. But when I started to look at this philosophy, I started to take a holistic view of my life. I was more than just business. In my previous world, all I worried about is my business goals. I let my personal goals, because I wasn't paying attention to my health and wellness, I let them slack, right? So and now in my new system, I take a holistic view of what are my personal and professional goals. I removed the guilt and the shaming of what wasn't getting done. I was really focusing on what is getting done, not worried about what is not getting done, and I felt more satisfied, and I felt like I had more time to do anything. So my relationship with time has evolved. As I said, now as a business owner, I take a holistic view, and my goal was to launch the Empowered Hours Club and run 4 social media boot camps within the year, and I did it. Taking a look of creating a label for myself as the CEO for my life and my work. Another key point to that was identifying as the person I wanted to become. I could call myself, I was the CEO. But when I really started looking at my structure, I was still identifying as an employee. So I was super busy, but was I productive? That's the question. And bless you, by the way. So what I did is I created my enterprise, and I looked at what are my key pillars for my enterprise. I have friends and family. Self-care is super important to me, as we heard. Volunteering or my community. I love urban living, so how can I support my urban living? In my business, Empowered Hours Club, and social media. So now, bless you again, it's your turn. So you all have some paper in front of you, which is your enterprise. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to talk about, this is your enterprise. What are the key pillars in your life? And feel free to discuss with your table.
Can you put yours back up as an
Yes,
example?
thank you. I do have, whoops. Sorry.
Now, are we supposed to discuss these?
Yeah, feel free to discuss what's coming up for you. A lot of times sharing triggers other ideas for someone else.
Do you want to go?
You want me to just tell you what I got?
Yep.
Everybody's listening.
I know, it's so quiet. I should play music here.
So I have like family and social, fun, health, knowledge and growth, and independent wealth.
Oh, I love that. I like that independent.
I don't need no job.
Yeah, because I was going to put work on there, but I like independent wealth better. I'm going to steal that from you.
So how long do we have?
You have a minute and a half
To do what?
to discuss amongst
A
your
minute
table.
and a half to discuss? Okay.
So I put
Ready,
family,
Crystal?
so it'd be family and
I
friends, family,
was
then I did
challenged
my
with this.
energy
I put
work,
Andy,
my
home,
coaching,
career,
travel,
me
fun
time, and
play.
Michael.
And then I wrote help, and then I went
Well,
health
so
and
I
wealth.
have
To
family
me,
friends
that goes
home.
together.
And
A
then I
lot.
actually
Because I
divided
was
my
like, wait,
business
if I'm
into
healthy,
three.
I'm wealthy.
I have virtual speech
I'm healthy, I'm wealthy.
coaching, virtual
And I
speech
mean
coach
that as like
speaking,
actually
virtual
attracting the
speech
wealth
Yes,
too.
content
So
creation.
that's
And
what
then I have self-care.
And
And
I
I
have
have
self-care is
travel
huge
fun.
for me, friends and family,
So friends and family.
my
Self-care, like the me
relationship,
time. Hobbies
with
and
Keith,
recreation, so that would include
creating my
travel,
business,
continuing
catering, which
education,
is
my
kind
professional,
of,
own professional development.
I don't know if that
and
needs to be
growth.
in there, that could be
Then the
something
Power
else.
Talk platform and all my
Because catering is
businesses
also,
related to that.
and then I have
And
independent
also,
wealth.
the independent
I've
wealth,
got
not so much financial freedom,
lot of
I'm
similar
just,
things,
I think
family
that'd be
home
great,
time,
but I'm just content with having
Toastmasters or
financial
volunteering.
flexibility. So time freedom, financial
Speaking biz or
flexibility.
power talk,
Yeah,
something
good for me.
that I'd like to develop, but I don't
Yeah.
have time for. The agency and
I
work
get done before.
that has to be
Okay.
part of it.
Business,
Hobbies, I put in there.
what I'm calling
I
world
have
plus
cars that
events.
I wanna play with,
A lot of very
build up my
interesting
bike,
things
I wanna do
happening,
these
just
fun
trying to get my
projects,
head around
but then
trying
those
to
are separate
understand
from the home projects I
from
need to do.
Right.
Things that fix it,
it. Rules, like political,
The
fix the
plumbing.
mower,
or
fix
fashion
the,
point of view, as far as trying
do
to
this.
correlate everything.
those are my
Then family, friends,
6.
and self,
Good
which
Yes,
is
they are way
about
out
to
there,
read, go on walks,
Yeah, I'm gonna take
and travel.
catering out.
So,
Awesome,
That's
I
awesome.
think I'm gonna put creating.
I'll give you
beauty.
30 seconds here to wrap it
Look
up.
at that as hobby.
Well, yeah, it's like, I'm gonna be redoing my kitchen.
so I have a simpler life, I only have 4.
Well, you know,
You
you
did
could
the
break,
whole world though, I was like.
Like,
yeah,
I'm
you
always
could break
doing
out,
something
you
that
could have
has to be a
self, and
creative
you could have
project.
travel
Yeah.
separate too.
It's creating
Because world,
beauty.
it's like every morning I start my day
Project
listening to
sounds
the
like work.
news.
You could even have your business divided up too.
I'm aware of it, but
Yes.
then
Takes work
so
to
I
create
could put that
also.
on there too, I didn't think of it,
I
'cause
know,
it's like
it
I do
does.
like
If it was
to,
easy,
I
everybody
got that
would
from
do
my
it.
dad that used to always
What,
True, yeah.
talk
Anyway,
to him about it.
If it was easy,
I
anyone
continue
would do
to listen to the news
But I
every
love
day.
art and kind of
So
stuff.
basically,
Things
a
are
lot more
awesome,
studies
takes
on
it.
prophecies and how many of them are
everybody
being
else.
fulfilled.
Yeah, I like that.
It's very
That's good.
interesting.
It's been
kind
good
of
because
live it.
catering is
That's
just a part of what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Just sitting,
to
I mean,
create.
you still
you
have
know,
your
my
day to day,
independent
but it's
wealth.
like that awareness of.
It will be
what's going on.
interesting if
It's
you
like
live
hobbies,
long
that's why I
enough
separated
to
hobbies from all
know
others.
what will have
Hobbies
been
are
the
the
most
want to
newsworthy
do.
thing
Yeah.
from like
Projects are
this
the
era.
to-do list.
So how did that feel? Anybody like to share a couple of things that come in from them? Yeah.
Well, you know, I put down in the beginning things I should, like work, and I thought, I don't wanna put work on there, it sounds like work. So I have self-care, friends and family, my relationship, which is separate from friends and family, creating my business, which includes doing this and other things to create new stuff. And then I stole independent wealth from Jacqueline because I love that.
Right.
Because you know it doesn't sound like work. It's like, and then I had catering on there, and I'm like, well that goes into a different category. And I thought creating beauty. That's
Creating
what I like to
beauty.
do. Whether it's, you know, I'm going to be redoing my kitchen, creating my wardrobe, creating, you know, whatever it is.
Nice, lovely, and that is the power of sharing, right? Somebody sparked another idea. Anybody else? I'll take one more. Lisa.
So, all of this, when I wrote it down, it's just like, okay, this actually makes me feel
Yeah.
very happy.
Yay!
Yes.
I love
Very
that.
happy. Because I was like going, well, I would love to actually, like, if it was all kind of balanced and like how I think of it in my head, I was like, man, this would be an awesome effing life.
You're
Yes.
CEO
And it's
of
not
your
that I
life.
don't have a lot of it, it's
Right.
just that I was like going, but if I had it all.
I know. Hello. Game on, right?
Yeah, so it just, I was like going, this would make me very, very, very happy.
And you can have it all.
Yeah.
It's tiny, but you can have it all. Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we talked a little bit about time empowerment. It's now we'll go into mindset. What words do we say? So here we all have big ideas. How many, raise a hand, show of hands, how many are vision boarders? How many love to create vision boards? What happens to those vision boards shortly after we make them?
We don't even
They
see
go in
it.
this closet.
Get filed, go into a closet. You probably see your watcher look at your log quite often.
vision board workshop coming up.
There you go. I was like, Natalia, we know what looks at hers quite often.
Well,
Absolutely.
you don't even see it. I have mine in a big frame thing, but I don't even see it. I walk by it every day and I don't even look at it.
It's like wallpaper.
It is
Yeah.
wallpaper.
Fear, self-doubt also starts to kick in, right? It's like, I want to build a six-figure business. It all sounds fantastic when I'm dreaming and make those visions, putting those visions on pieces of paper or electronically, however I'm doing it, finding all those images. And then I go, how am I going to do that? And how am I going to fit these habits, as Kim has told us about, which totally queued me up. I love that presentation. How am I going to build these habits into my 168 hours? Self-doubt will get in the way. Distractions are part of life. We just need to make a plan to actually handle them. The very first step is awareness. So when we feel that self-doubt, one of presenters that I had been to a couple different times, he calls it Debbie Doubt, Frankie Fear.
Oh, I love that.
So when we feel Debbie Doubt knocking at our door, Frankie Fear knocking at our door, or a business coach of mine called it a negative roommate. That voice that we hear in our head, it's not paying rent, but being aware of those words and those feelings they're coming up. Pay attention to what you hear and that negative talk. I can't do. I don't have enough time to. I hate doing this exercise. And let's start to rewrite the negative and turn it into a positive. So how often do we say, I should be doing this, I'm too busy?
Mm-hmm.
And a key little tip that one of my life coaches gave me a long time ago is have a little notebook. Or Evernote if it's electronic or paper, and every time you hear yourself say, I should, like Michelle was saying when she was making her little enterprise, these are the things I should focus on. I should be doing this. Write it down. I don't have enough time. Write those down, and then be aware of how many times you say that throughout a day. What inspires you when you start to hear those self-doubt? Find some inspiration. I'm going to show a video here that inspires me. Liar. I'm like, oh.
It might be Sean.
Is it from the internet?
It was just working, like we practiced like so.
This always happens.
It's technology. Do you know Mercury is in retrograde? That is part of technology.
Do anything
But-
live.
It
It never works.
it's like if it doesn't,
See,
I
that's one of those statements,
No, it'll
Roman.
work.
Whenever
So
you
is
do
it an
anything
embedded
live, it
video
never
or
works.
from online?
There
There
it
it is,
There's
there
one.
it is.
it's embedded.
Ben and Justin just written this new song.
Roman has the magic.
He does.
Remember the Fonz?
We knew that it was going to be the anthem of the film, but no one had heard it before, and no one had heard Kiala sing it live. And Kiala, who I didn't even want to come out from behind the music stand.
I didn't.
I kept saying to her, just step out, because this is your moment, and you have to step out into the ring, metaphorically, because that's what you're doing, and you're going to stand right there in front of everyone and just belt this
But
out.
I didn't want to. In fact, I stood behind that music stand
Yeah.
until the day of that presentation. There was a moment in the song that I actually was so scared that I had to actually grab Hugh's hand so that I had somebody to hold on to. And then we got to the end of the number, and all I remember is just deafening applause. It was sort of otherworldly experience.
It was one of those moments that will stay with me the rest of my life. Unfortunately, we filmed it.
I'm not a stranger to the dawn. Hide away, the same, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. Learn to be ashamed of all the scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But won't let them bring me down, 'cause I know that there's a place for us. For we are warriors.
many times how she was so afraid to step out behind the music stand. And she had to. That was a key moment in that movie. She had to be center stage. And those words that she said, that sings in the song, it's like a lot of times those are the words that we speak to ourselves. So it's like when we hear that, I can't, I don't know how, I shouldn't, I don't have the skill set, somebody's better than me, somebody has better skills than I do. We go, oh no, this is me. Look out, world, here I come, this is me. So this is a quote from one of my clients in the Empowered Hours Club. I will not abandon myself anymore. She was also very, very successful in her corporate career. She, like me, sacrificed everything for her career. And she was a real estate agent and the housing market crashed. That's when she first started to take a step back. And then, of course, you fast forward in COVID and all of that. But then that's when she started to realize it doesn't have to be 80, 120 hours of work. There is different ways that we can look at our time and manage our time, and we can fit everything in that we want. So instead of saying, I don't get to, or I can't, I don't have enough time, be aware of those words and change them into a positive. I get to do this. I have an opportunity to. I get to choose on what I focus on, and I have all the time for the things that matter most to me. Invest in yourself, set growth goals for life and work, and align your time. All right, so setting growth goals for life and work. So we have our enterprise. This is 1 to 2, and people get 1 to 2 growth. I need some more coffee. Growth goals. And I've given this workshop before, and they're like, only 2? No, you can put goals for every one of your categories that you want. We will talk a little bit about time study in a little bit later on in this presentation. So for me, as I mentioned earlier, my particular ones were work. I launched as an entrepreneur. I left a corporate job. I left a guaranteed income, so it was focused on my social media boot camp and my Empowered Hours Club. The goal was to run 8 boot camps. I did 4, and launched my social media boot camp, or Empowered Hours Club. I did take a holistic look at who I am. I love to ride my motorcycle and self-care, but these are the areas that I wanted to focus in on growth, and then I have my maintenance goals, which would be allowing time for my passions and my hobbies. So now we'll take a few minutes, 3 more minutes, and look at your enterprise and identify what would be some of your goals for the next 12 months.
Do we write that on the next page?
No, you can write it, sorry, I do have you can write it just to the side.
Oh, gotcha.
So use the same this page, just pull out your different categories and then list what some of your goals would be for those categories.
So I'm a little confused when you say limit it to 2. So should we only do 2 of them on here?
That's what I did, but a lot of my clients have questioned that. So it's like, okay, just write your goals for any of the categories that come up. The goals that are going to be important for you for the next 12 months.
Okay.
So again, because you can work on whatever you choose to work on. Later in the presentation, we'll talk about time study. And that's when it becomes important to prioritize what goals are important to work on now.
Okay.
feel free to share. Absolutely.
Anybody wanna share it out loud for the whole room while everyone's
Oh,
listening?
yeah. No, you go, you start. You always start. You're
You
quick
started
thinker.
last time, yeah.
Yeah, I started last time, so I thought I could pawn off. Can I?
I picked two. One is my agency slash work box, and then hobbies, agency at work.
Okay, I'll go.
Finances
So,
and income has been a huge
in,
challenge.
for my
We need to
virtual
stabilize that. It
speech
has to be a
coach
priority.
coaching
So
business, I
that's
wanna
what I've
create
been
a
working
new
on.
coaching
This
programs specifically around
stabilizing the
my
income so
AI
that is
component,
not
which is
as big
usually
worries at once.
where people can have like
And then
different
I put the other
packages where
focus
it's
on
going to be
hobbies,
primarily
because
asynchronous
having
feedback, where they would
the things that I
submit
want to do and not
their
having
videos,
time
and then I
is-
would give them
can
feedback
create burnout.
with a
because
few in-person
I'm spending too much time
sessions
working, but
sprinkled in.
accomplishing
So that would make probably
some of the
better
tasks
use
and
of my
hobbies
time,
is a good feeling.
and
A good
it
example,
would be something,
I
I'd
put on
probably have
Facebook,
it as
I
a
had
lower cost alternative, cause it would
past
use
son's
less of my
Mercedes.
time.
I,
And then the
last
other
March,
area
we
for
drove down,
business I
got all the
put
front end parts,
was,
the hood,
by
bumper,
starting in
fender, it had been in
January,
the garage
I'd like
forever.
to
and
have,
this old
uh,
puppy.
4
When are you gonna get
video
in that
tips
car?
per
When are
month,
you gonna get in
2 to
that
3
car?
minutes.
Finally,
I
I
now
said,
sporadically put
and it
videos
fought
up.
me the whole way.
And I find
Came
that
apart easy,
I've had
went apart
people,
like hell.
you know, they've
When it was
checked out my
done,
videos,
it
they're like, I
felt
watched your
really
video
damn
on,
good.
and I thought that we would
To
be a good
see
fit.
this
So I
thing
think
kind
video
of
content
mangled
can
and
really
beat
help.
up, to have this
That's it.
finished project that looked
Yep.
much better, you could see it visually.
Well,
You
I
know,
only
it
had
felt,
two
that felt like a good
that
accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's good to
same
check the
goals
done
for
box
business,
Yep.
and be able to see and
same
share the
level
results.
revenue with less
So like
time.
what you're doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
And I drove
Yeah.
to
Yeah, you put a
the
lot of
pizza
time.
party and a
And
hamburger, everyone came outside
I
to
will
look at it, and
advance,
everyone
what I like to
complimented
do
on
is
it.
just,
And
I've
that's a
been
good
thinking
feeling.
about doing this,
So
I've
having
almost
more
started
of
a
that
couple times,
makes it easier
is
to
creating a date, event, proxy.
do the agency work stuff and balance that and truly block
So I'm
out.
sure some of that
And
Yeah,
is
I
say,
love that.
work is done.
Yep.
some of them are
It's
to
hobby
interpretation.
time. It's time for
I can
personal
totally relate.
successes.
To
That'd be
that
like a hobby
because
thing.
I'm getting
It
ready
kinda
to
would be a hobby.
do a kitchen renovation, a home renovation
But you
should.
projects
Yeah.
and
Like, that's where it's
And
like you can
just-
sit
You
there.
can
the
even
point
make
where
your own
I'm
YouTube videos
securing
about
the
it.
Well, I
loan
mean,
and
it's-
stuff like that, and like
You
I'm
know,
gonna
part
get
of it's
my,
just
pretty much my
solidifying
dream
your,
kitchen in a lot of
faith
ways,
to,
and like, you know,
far as
it's a
seeing
project
something
that has
real
to be
happen
managed, I
that's
have to
gonna
pick out a lot of
produce
stuff.
About
couple
40
thousand.
seconds.
Oh, we're gonna need
Um,
just a little more time, it's up to
And then,
people.
Sorry.
one
Okay,
of my
you want
friends
me
and
to-
family and like
Um,
make more play dates with
I have
like my
an Andy.
girlfriends and
I
and
wanted
family
to
and
spend more
self-care,
activities
like,
together and
you
then
know, 3
adjust
times a
to
week doing
written movie.
physical
is kind of
therapy,
my-
yoga class,
focus.
like adding
And
that
then my
back in
career,
on
I
a
wanna
regular
work on my
basis instead of
resume
kind of
and then
willy-nilly
do
like I've been
community
doing.
search. I've been kind of just blindly going out
and
to
then
job
the last
posts,
one is
and I
my
think I wanna
relationship.
flip it around and
Keith
look
and
for
I are doing a
companies
book
You'd
called
like to
8
work for.
Dates,
and flip it around and
and
take that strategy.
we're on date number 3 now.
I think
so
3
keep doing
categories,
that
so
'cause it has
self-care,
so much
very
information
simple,
in there, and it
monthly
sparks a
facial
lot
and
of
full body massage,
conversations
manicure
that
and
wouldn't normally
pedicure,
come up.
and focus and rest,
Reading
relaxation, and
But-
You're
rejuvenation.
reading a book on or?
This is
Well,
something I
it's a
just
book,
got
but
permission to read that I have.
and we're reading it, and we're doing it together as a project.
My second
Yeah,
one
you're not
is
creating
the
it.
financial
No,
flexibility.
it's already out there.
Helping
It's
grow
an
the
amazing
law
book.
and
It was-
team, the legal share team, so Mark
Yeah,
American Legal
that
Shield.
That was the first impression.
And
I
finally,
was
something that I've
writing
been
this book.
entertaining
Sounds cool.
ideas for, and
Yeah.
I've been working to develop
No, I
is
wish we were
scaling
writing it.
my Power Talk business model and my speaker based business model for licensure or for franchise.
It's amazing,
So those are
like
some
every
of
day
the-
is a different
my
topic,
big
and
ones that I've
you
got
can do it
working on.
whether you're in a
Self-care's the one
long-term,
that I'm
stable
really kind of
relationship in
excited
together,
about.
or you're just getting started on day by day.
Or if you just
You
have
could do
done
like a
because
half
you're
day, I
cold.
mean, if you scheduled a half day
Exactly.
Oh, I think
massage,
it's stagnant or
pedicure.
You just want somebody
Just
to
get
check in on you once in a
facial.
while, make sure you're still
That'd
there.
probably be about
And I
at least
joke.
3 hours.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't afford the time or the money legally,
Is that
but
kind of like
once a month I
picking
think.
Oh, I
fights just so
can-
you can make
Well,
it?
when
I can say,
my office in Shoreview
I-
is like
I
right down the
picked
road
two,
from the spa that
and
I
so
actually
my
went to a
energy
spa
work,
and I thought it was like,
and
so I actually did
with
go
that,
come for a massage. I'm not a big,
it's kind of weird,
and
'cause
I
I was like going,
believe like
it's
that
not
whole
it
month, like,
now feels like
again,
a
you
little
just get that
hobby-ish, and
rejuvenized,
I
how
want
much
to
more
make it
energy
business-ish,
I had from that,
right?
so I
Mm.
and book another session, cause I was like,
So
gonna do
it
it
was
on
having
on
clients every
Fridays,
day
I was like,
to do energy
trying to get my
work for.
coworkers,
Every
did you wanna
day
go down to the
and
spa, cause
multiple
it's literally
clients,
like
so that,
two
you know,
blocks
so
away.
I am, like,
I
I'm
think the town,
doing that, I'm in the process,
yeah.
but
I
it's
know,
like
spa,
having
but it's in
having that
Shoreview
schedule.
and.
I mean, I live in
And then
Shoreview,
Dell
so.
so-
It was one of the
house a
ranked,
month.
like when I was picking one, it was like
And
the
then I
top
picked
ranked in the
to
Twin Cities, and that's,
Nice.
cause again, I was like, I don't wanna just go to any you know.
And then I went
So I had
vacation,
researched it,
with friends and family.
then I ended up working right in
And
the
travel for
neighborhood.
passion
I
projects,
should go back.
which just came up.
Cause it was kind of a treat for myself,
What is
and
that?
again, I wasn't
What does
into
that mean? What does that mean
we
to
did
me?
the,
But it's kind of like I could put,
sauna kind of experience, and then they
energy
did,
work, I could take
we
some of
got a
that,
Korean
have that as
scrub.
a passion project,
The
and
first
travel
time, but then I
somewhere
went back for a massage.
to actually
and I
do
was like,
energy work.
Mhm.
So I
And
could
so you
travel.
mentioned something about
Like I
self-maintenance and
have
all that, and
a
I'm
client
thinking
who's in New Jersey.
self-maintenance,
Well,
and you mentioned
she's
me
not in New
time.
Jersey. She might be in Washington.
I know.
Self-care. Yeah.
again, it
But anyway,
Share, you
she,
share.
she wants me to douse her house.
again, I couldn't
And I
believe
was
how
like,
much it builds
that's like
energy
a
into all
project
the
for
other
me,
other
but
things I
it's
was trying to do.
like, that's what I'm
Yeah.
passionate about. So I'm like going, yeah, I travel to DC
So,
and go
Okay.
douse DC.
The universe is telling me.
How did that feel? Talking about your goals. Are you excited? Is
We
it
wanna do it.
exciting?
Yeah, we wanna do it.
Awesome, awesome. Does anybody like to share a goal or two?
I
All right,
can.
Natalia.
Okay, so one of the sections I focused on was self-care. And this is something that I just don't do enough for myself, and so I'm going to implement this monthly. A facial and full body massage, manicure and pedicure,
Yes.
focusing on the 3 R's: rest, relaxation, rejuvenation.
I
It's just something
love
that I
it.
don't get, and you mentioned something about, the whole self-maintenance. Yeah, if I can do more self-care, that will trickle into all the other areas of my life.
We definitely know we need to take time for ourselves to refuel
Yes.
the fire so that we can be there for others. I love that. Anybody else? I'll take one more. Michael.
Well, first of all, thanks for giving us permission to narrow down to 2.
Yes,
rather than just
you're
the 6,
welcome.
Because
Yes.
that does help, because all 6 of them are happening typically. We're making it happen. We put the 6 down because we're doing them all the time.
Yes.
But where can you put your main focus? So the 6 I had are similar to everyone else's. I narrowed down 2. One was, I have it listed as agency of work. Income has been a challenge. I need to stabilize that. It's
Yeah.
gotta be a priority, but I can't let it consume 100% of my life because it's not as satisfying. It's satisfying to not be broke,
Yeah.
but
Right.
if I'm donating every ounce of my time to it, it's gonna burn me out.
Yep.
And my arm's gonna go numb and I'm gonna flop on the floor.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So,
I would highly recommend seeing a doctor if those symptoms show up.
So the other box I picked was hobbies. I have a lot of little projects that I'd like to do. I have a need to do list and I have my like to do stuff. I just recently finished putting the parts on the car that I talked about, the Mercedes I have.
Yeah.
We got parts in March. Last month I finally took the damn thing apart, which took an hour, and it took me a week to put the damn thing together because it didn't want to go nice. But when it was done, it was very satisfying.
Yeah.
I brought it to the pizza party and everyone commented on how nice it looks. And even though I was picking it apart, it was like, it looks great, it's fantastic. And it was very satisfying. And that satisfaction motivates me to work on the other stuff. Back to priority number 1, stabilize the income.
Yeah.
And make that time for the other.
Perfect. And I love what you said, that everybody was complimenting you on the Mercedes and you were picking it apart because why? We're our worst critics.
Yeah.
And it's like
Absolutely.
perfectionism over progress. So you identified that awareness. Awesome. All right. Okay, so we'll move into action plan. Here it is, just what Michael said. No matter what we focus on, no matter what focus we choose, it just doesn't happen. We can focus in on 6 different areas if that's what we want to do. But we're going to be dividing those 168 hours by all of those different tasks. So what is it that you really want to accomplish? Kim has talked about habits and he talked about structure. This was one part that when I was the top of my career as a senior business analyst, I had structure. And I had those reminders in my calendars. I knew exactly what I needed to do and what I needed to get accomplished, and that happened. But in my personal life, I resisted structure. And so many of my mentors and my coaches would say, calendar block. And I go, I can make pretty pictures in my calendar. I can put red, green, blue, yellow all over my calendar and it looks lovely. And just like my vision board, I close my calendar and go on with my day. But I realized that if I didn't have structure, if I didn't have focus, how did I know if I was on track with my goals, if I needed to pivot my goals, or what was going to happen? So I chose just the exercise that we did. That's where I started. It's like, this is what my enterprise is. This is what I want to this is what I want my life to look like. And here are my goals for the year. And then I broke them down into monthly goals. So what is the goal for, it's like we're coming into October. What's going to be the goal, the monthly goal for October? And I wrote that down. And then I would break them each task, weekly task. What are the tasks that I want to work on to help me accomplish that goal? And as Kim said, daily, every day, every morning, I would look up and say, what are the 1 to 2, maybe 3 things that I want to focus on for this day? I know I'm going to do lots of things, but what are the top 3 things that would feel so satisfying if I did them? If I booked my appointment, my spa appointment,
Yes.
right? It's like, this is what we want to do, but like, get it on the calendar and book it. You know, if I put a list of to-dos, I say wish list, but of the things that I want to work on to get those projects turned around. And it is a new habit. So that is where no shame, no judgment if we're not doing it. But it's just getting into that habit of just saying every day, what's the focus? I do stand-ups with my clients. So here is an example of, you have one in your sheet that you can fill out, take with you. Here's an example of the spreadsheet that I use. Here's my yearly goal, which was the 4 Empowered Hours chapters with 6 members in it, the 3 social media boot camps with 10, and then to increase cardio. And I want to say, since I created this goal of the 4 Empowered Hours chapters, it's complete. The vision is completely changed, and that's okay. A lot of my clients would be like, "Oh my gosh, I put pen to the paper. I'm cemented in. I cannot change it.
It's just a plan.
It's just a plan, right? Business analyst? Yes, exactly. Here are my weekly tasks. But again, if I don't get to them, because in the beginning too, I would list 20, 30 things. 168 hours, not planning for the unexpected. We can't, planning for the unexpected. Those didn't happen. And instead of looking at my list going, I'm a failure, I'm never going to get this done, it was like, okay, focus in on what I did get done and start paring down my list, right, to set myself up for success. So just don't overthink it. Get started with whatever calendar system works for you or whatever plan works for you. Earlier in the presentation, we talked about a digital calendar. We talked about a paper calendar. If you need colors, but just start building on that habit. And so now we'll move on to align your time. Here we go. So if you had 2 more hours each day, how would you spend it?
Wow.
Right?
2 extra hours.
2 extra hours. That's all. We just need more time. Well, I'm here to tell you it has nothing to do with 2 more hours in each day. The next sheet you have in your handout is, I do have this in electronic version, but it is the schedule that I use, and I started time studies, time management. So I put them down into categories here. You can see other, which was, whatever, didn't fall into the other ones. I have business, self-care, personal development, and family here. And so then I would put each task that I was on, or everything that I was doing. And yes, I have sleep in there. And then the day of the week, the number of hours, and I did it by a half hour, so anywhere half hour, hour and a half. And then it started to subtract from my 168 hours a week. Because the bottom line is that 168 hours a week, we're spending them. We end the week, right, with 0 hours. So it's like, where are we spending our time? Now, I gave this presentation a couple months ago, and one of the attendees said, uh-oh, here it comes. She is going to shame me for binge watching Netflix. And I'm not, because you get to choose where you spend your time and your energy. And if it's binge watching Netflix, it's binge watching Netflix. That could be part of self-care. But if it's binge watching Netflix every weekend or all your free time, then perhaps we need to take a look at that. And are you willing to make some adjustments to build in those tasks or those habits?
Or is that your success?
Or is that your success? I'm not a professional Netflix watcher.
I watched everything.
Yeah. I do feel it's such an accomplishment. Yes. To the episode.
Yes, of course. Oh, you like to call? Yes.
You could have a checklist for every series you watch, and you could just feel that accomplishment building.
There's nothing new on YouTube.
I said, watched it all.
I've watched it all.
Time to move on to Prime
Prime
Video.
Video.
Or Hulu.
Yeah.
Really sad.
But yes, again, somebody's like, do you even track your sleep? Yes, sleep is important to me because it is self-care, and lack of sleep causes bad things.
It's spending my
Yeah.
time. Burning it up.
It is burning it up. Yes, grocery shopping, any of those things. And again, it's once you get started and you create, you start to see routines, you start to see trends, and then you can make changes. Don't be afraid. Awareness is just power. Following through is hard. Be unapologetic about where you want to be. Again, this is just a plan. It's flexible. It's not written in cement. You don't have cement shoes on your feet. You are able to make changes. You are the CEO of your life. You get to dictate where you want to be. So if you decide, you get that call. I get that call from Lisa and Michelle and says, hey, do you want to do dinner tonight? Yeah, I get to decide if I want to do that. And then I decide, how do I want to adjust my week? No guilt, no shame. Life gives you plenty of time to do whatever you want to do if you stay present in the moment. Love that quote.
You look like you heard.
Yeah. And then, of course, it is the review process. One of the tools as a senior business analyst that I despise. Every Friday, I would be working overtime to complete this task because I just didn't want to do it. That was the status report. I had to provide a status report to my CEO. What did the team do? What are their challenges? What's their focus for next week? And I looked at it like, here we go. He's going to be shaming me for not getting something done. But I also believe it has to do with the childhood and report cards as a child, bringing that in, and also some performance reviews throughout my careers. I actually had a performance review by one of my managers that said, Cindy would be best suited with a manager in Minneapolis, period. That was the feedback that I received. So I'm like, okay, status report, feedback, it's scary. But as an entrepreneur, the one thing that I love is the status report. And that is simply, it's super easy, short. What did you do? What are your celebrations? I always start with a celebration. What did you accomplish, or what is your celebration? It might not even be what you focus in, what your goal was to focus in this week. And then what are your challenges and obstacles? And again, it's not to guilt or shame ourselves, but it is simply to be awareness. And sometimes calling out those challenges and obstacles will tell other people, right, that they may have a solution for us, or they may be able to connect us with something. And then, of course, what your focus is for next week. So I'd like you to close your eyes, take a deep inhale through your nose, exhale out through your mouth, and envision it is December 31st of 2022. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you celebrating? And how does it feel? And when you're ready to come back, gently open your eyes, wiggle your fingers and toes. It's September, end of September, we're moving into the fourth quarter. How do your big goals stand? Shoot for it. All right, on to support. So what is your biggest barrier to implementing? We know that knowledge is power when implementing. How many times have we gone to a workshop and gotten all different types of information or great tips and gone home and done nothing about it? As a business analyst, I knew that accountability was I would be accountable, rocking out accountability when I'm delivering for somebody else. As an entrepreneur, I sucked at it. That is why I had to create some of these systems. So I'd like you to think about what is your biggest barrier to implementing. Just didn't hide that slide. I was gonna say, I thought I changed it. This came from the Association of Talent Development, and it is the percentage of likelihood that we have to complete a goal from the time of having the idea of 10% to deciding to do it 25%, to deciding when we will do it 40%, planning how we do it 50%, committing to someone that we will do it 65%, making appointment with someone we've committed to 95%. That's accountability. Find a friend, a spouse, a partner, a group, somewhere where you can talk about accountability, someplace where you feel safe, where you don't feel judged or shamed for not getting things that you're doing. So the question is not who is going to let me, the question is who is going to stop me?
Love that.
So with the Empowered Hours Club, I do have an accountability club that we meet once a week. For those of you that are interested in doing a deep dive and creating a plan that meets your vision and your goals, feel free to send me an email. I have 3 slots on my calendar reserved for this group, and we can talk about turning your goal into a plan. And for those of you that are interested in motivation and inspiration and want to stay connected, feel free to follow me on social media.